This week's video was filmed a couple of weeks ago, before the eruption of righteous and justified protest ignited by the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor and countless other incidents of violent racism and police brutality. This video talks about mental health, so before we get into it, I wanted to mention an organisation called Black Minds Matter. They fundraise to provide free courses of therapy for people of colour traumatised by the effects of racial discrimination, both historic and current. In their own words, this is a state of emergency for black people's well-being. Their aim is to link as many black individuals and families in the UK with certified professional black practitioners for sessions as soon as possible for free. As a sufferer of trauma myself, I know how much having a therapist has helped me. So I'm going to ask you to consider clicking the link underneath this video and donating them some money so they can carry on helping as many people as possible. Thanks for listening. Here's this week's video. Man goes to the doctor, says he's depressed, says life has no meaning, just a deep, dark, heavy greyness from morning till night. I have the cure, says the doctor. Go see the great clown Pagliacci. He can put a smile on anyone's face. But doctor, says the man, and the doctor stops him and says, oh, wait a second. Are you going to tell me that you're Pagliacci? No, says the man. I'm the juggler that opens for him. Anyway. Today, I'd like to talk about the link between creativity and depression, because I have a small amount of experience of both. But I'm not going to claim that creative people are more prone to depression. That's a popular idea, but I don't think it's true. Feels to me like it leans towards the idea of the eccentric artist, which I'm not sure I really buy most of the time. It seems to me more likely that a percentage of everyone live with mental illness. Maybe the artists just look a bit more visible because they have the privilege of using it in whatever they make, as I am doing now. Anyway, that's kind of what I'd like to talk about, how being creative can, at least in my experience, temporarily soothe some of the effects of depression. Since I was a kid, my place of comfort and safety was always locking myself away and making something. Now, the locking yourself away part isn't so healthy. If you're having a bad day, it's usually a good move to try and connect with people. But for all of my life, the act of making has always been something that would soothe the black dog. And you don't have to decide to make anything big or important or even good. Sometimes the black dog stops you from being able to gather up the self-belief to make anything meaningful. That's okay. Make something meaningless instead. It might turn out not to be so meaningless after all. My experience has been that if you can get yourself to a point where you can just start creating something, anything, just doing whatever you like to do that is in any way artistic, writing, drawing, sculpting, composing, making a video like this, playing around in Minecraft, whatever. And again, you don't have to be any good at any of these things to enjoy them. Art is not a competition. But once you start making things, you might find that some of the pesky thoughts that have been rattling around in your brain might find their way out into whatever you're making. And I found that the more pesky thoughts find their way out, the less there are in my head. For me, if I'm feeling wretched, I'll often write about it. Just for me, usually. I've found that the act of having to examine exactly what thoughts I'm having and how they make me feel, which is something you have to do if you're going to write them down, really helps. Many times I've been walking around with a black cloud over my head and I've managed to find a coffee shop, sit down, get my notepad out, scribble on it for an hour and a half, hunched over like a jazz pianist, and when I finish and close the notebook and stand up, I feel physically lighter. It's as if I've shifted a lot of the horrible stuff from my head into a notebook, and then I can just close that notebook and put it in my backpack. And even if that doesn't happen, then there is still the simple fact that you made something. Try to let yourself admit the basic truth that because of you, something exists that didn't exist before. It doesn't have to be good or impressive or profound, but it is something, and you made it. As usual, if you've made it this far, I'm going to ask you to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you're not doing so already, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Much more important than that though, follow Black Minds Matter UK on Instagram and consider clicking the link underneath this video, donating them some money so they can carry on helping the people that need it most. And the more you share this video, or just the link underneath this video, the more people can get the help they need. I'm going to assume you already know this, but it never hurts to say it again. Black Lives Matter. See you next week.